All right, so welcome back. The left are outraged about Doge, and I'm sorry, Doge is all the rage. I'm absolutely obsessed with Doge because Doge is managing to do a lot of things. It was brilliant for Donald Trump to bring Elon Musk in to start this commission or to start the U.S. Doge service. It replaced Obama's U.S. digital service for all of the liberals that may be out there watching, and it has put Democrats in an absolute panic. For one, they have to be concerned about corruption. A lot of Democrats and leftists will be exposed as far as corruption is concerned. A second thing that they have to be concerned about is when you stop and think about it, they need big government in order to be successful. So with smaller government, Democrats simply cannot be as successful. They're used to, as I say over and over again, telling people who to hate, but they can't tell you how they can help. They absolutely have no solutions. And then you have people that are going to eventually feel relief from all of the government waste that's being cut back on. The dollar will regain its strength once we can get rid of our deficit. And it's really going to be hard for Democrats to combat that. So the left, they can't stand what they're watching in Elon Musk. I want to play a couple of video clips. Sean Hannity had a great interview earlier this week with Elon Musk and President Trump. And it was clear that President Trump is the president. Fully functional, unlike Biden, but not only that, smart as a whip, able to answer questions, took charge in that particular interview. And it was clear that what Elon Musk wanted to be was Donald Trump's tech support. And as a matter of fact, he said that. And it was clear that they actually have a connection that was really cool to see. It's one of those things you just wonder what's happening behind the scenes. But they had talked about, I won't play all of those videos, but they had talked about how Elon called Trump and said, you realize what they're trying to do is divide us. And Trump said, yes. And I'm sure you guys saw the promos, but they're really bad at it. And the truth is they are. All they're trying to do is destroy Trump's agenda and ultimately destroy the American people. Now, speaking of destroying the American people, I want to compare a couple of billionaires because it isn't morally wrong to be a billionaire, all right? Obviously, Trump is a billionaire. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. But there's another billionaire that people keep leaving out that they're not talking about in the political arena. And that's one billionaire that we were called cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if we ever mentioned his name. And that is George Soros. And I want to get to him in just a second because, guys, George Soros basically ran Biden's White House. We had all wondered who's running this thing. Biden's staff. I started saying it's the presidency is called Biden's staff. Biden's staff's presidency. Because obviously it wasn't Biden and obviously it was a bunch of people within his administration that were running it. But now who was it inside of his administration that was running it? I've got some answers for you that I'll share shortly. But first, I want to play this video clip number 41. Por favor, Gabe. This is a billionaire that is trying to save the country as opposed to a George Soros who is trying to destroy the country. Again, I'll get into that a little later. Cut number 41, please, Gabe.
Could it be worth very much? I could tell you.
Like I say, if the ship of America sinks, we're all going down with it. You know, this idea that people can escape to New Zealand or some other place is false. If the central pillar of Western civilization, that is America, falls, the whole roof comes crashing down and there is no escape.
Okay, what a great point. If America comes falling down, there's no place to escape to. There's no other place to go. We had Vice President J.D. Vance had to issue a tongue lashing to our NATO allies over the past weekend in Munich, Germany, because they're censoring their voters there. I'll get into that as well. We have different values. Where else are we going to go? We call these people our allies, but if they have different values than ours, if they don't value freedom like we do, if they don't value free speech like we do, our relationship becomes really confusing. It becomes really awkward. So J.D. Vance made a very good move. But nonetheless, I digress. I don't want to go to that right now. I want to get back to this issue when it comes to Trump and Elon Musk and Doge. There's another video that I want to play for you, video clip number 29. And then I want to get into some George Soros connections and prove to you that he was more involved in Biden's administration even than I ever imagined. Clip number 29, please, Gabe.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
You don't care about that?
I know. I love the president.
You love the president?
I think President Trump is a good man. And he's, you know...
It's nice the way he said that, you know? There's something nice about it.
It really is. You know, because, I mean... The president has been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
All right. I mean, just a genuine connection. Now, this is a guy that wants to save the country, help save the country. He's working with the president of the United States that wants to save the country. Donald Trump gets all of this bad press, and he's been doing a wonderful job. Hopefully, the Senate Republicans and the House will get their acts together so we could get some legislation passed. But let me compare that to George Soros. You guys know, all right, George Soros, Open Society Foundation. Basically, this guy runs a bunch of organizations. He's a great investor, multi-billionaire. Obviously, he's shorted tried to short the dollar. He's been kicked out of, I believe it was Hungary that he was kicked out of, or perhaps he was born in Hungary. But nonetheless, you guys know the story. You know the background of George Soros, I'm sure. But trip off of this. I did not know this. So Biden's transition team, when he was moving into the White House, was basically staffed by almost entirely George Soros acolytes. So during the transition, hat tip to the Media Research Center, by the way, the incoming Biden administration assembled transition review teams that included people tasked with understanding the operations of specific government agencies to help the administration, quote, hit the ground running on day one. Listen to this. 17 picks for those teams either work directly for his, speaking of George Soros, Open Society Foundations or other Soros-funded organizations. Do that. Listen to this. Soros was able to exert influence on the transition teams ranging from the State Department to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Remember Russell Vought? They were trying to make sure he didn't get that position. The United States mission to the United Nations, the Department of Defense. In other words, Soros's people was in all of these agencies. The Department of Labor, Department of the Interior, Department of the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, Banking and Securities Regulators, National Security Council, Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, and Department of Affairs. All of Soros's people were in there and a part of the transition team. A month after Biden's victory, Open Societies Foundation President Patrick Gaspard stepped down from his role as Open Societies president, and he began a lobby to become Biden's labor secretary. That didn't work out. However, he was still considered, or at least on documents in the Open Society Foundation, after he had stepped down, his name still appeared on documents in that organization. I mean, there's just clear ties between George Soros and the Biden administration. Now, he probably didn't become the Biden's labor secretary because he had some crazy stuff online and the optics of picking someone so directly linked to Soros. So Biden ended up with Boston Mayor Marty Walsh at the time. Now, listen to this. The Center for American Progress, there's a connection there. That's another Soros foundation. A woman by the name of Neera Tanden was president of the Soros-backed Center for American Progress before becoming senior advisor to the president in May of 2021. Another George Soros acolyte, and then was previously nominated to the head of the Office of Management and Budget, but had to withdraw as her past tweets came back to haunt her. Ron Klain, remember Biden's first chief of staff, Ron Klain? And I thought he was a liberal. He worked for Obama. So this proves that George Soros had influence on the Obama administration as well. But Ron Klain, who was the chief of staff, right, for Joe Biden, also served on the board for the Center for American Progress Action Fund. Biden's COVID-19 response team, Sam Berger, a less recognizable name. However, he was a former VP for Democracy and Government Reform, quote unquote, at the Center for American Progress. He became Biden's director, listen to this, of strategic operations and policy for his COVID-19 response. So remember, guys, I'm sure you were like me, and there's times where I asked on air, and I'm sure you asked the question too. Biden is running the country so badly. It's almost as if he's doing it intentionally. It's almost as if he was trying to destroy the country. Well, he was. But what we're finding out, the he that was, is George Soros, and later his son, Alex Soros. I'll get to that. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow, and MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on their overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, you can save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. The queen size is only $59.98 and the kings are only $69.98, but they sell out fast every year. So be sure to order now. You can also save 30% on their brand new Mike crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one that Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's styles, and they're made right here in the good US of A. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them before they or while they last. And I can't forget to mention the My Pillow. It's just $14.98. So to take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to mypillow.com, use promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263 is the number to call in. But wait, remember that $75, the $75 free shipping rule. So, well, that ship is sailed because right now, for a limited time, every order ships free. That's right. Every order ships free. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Okay, so I want to take you back again. You have George Soros, a billionaire that's trying to destroy the United States of America. You have Elon Musk and Donald Trump, frankly, billionaires that are trying to restore, to save America, to make America great again. But the press didn't seem to want to be bothered with George Soros, and there's reasons for that. We'll get to that shortly. Gabe, if we could roll another video, could we play video clip number 30? This is more about Doge because I want to give the comparison and contrast here. So clip number 30, please, Gabe.
It says tech support because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. You know, so if you take for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order. Hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously, people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals. And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, you know, we went in there and we're like, hey, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the Doge team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing because the president is the elected representative of the people, so he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
And that was a very, very important point. And he's absolutely right. We don't live in a bureaucracy. I would argue we don't necessarily live in a democracy, although I understand the point because everybody gets to participate in our electoral process. But we live in a democratic republic where everyone gets to participate, but we elect our officials to represent us. But nonetheless, I know exactly what, or I understand what he's saying there. But he's absolutely right. We don't live in a bureaucracy. We don't have a fourth branch of government in all of these agencies. Now, speaking of these agencies, let me further connect the dots when it comes to George Soros and later his son Alex Soros. Now, in case you didn't understand how much Soros had infiltrated the White House and some of these agencies, these bureaucratic agencies, I just ran off a list of them that his people were in. People that worked for George Soros in some way, shape, or form were tasked with being a part of Biden's transition team that literally helped out in many of these departments, many of these agencies that we see. So the Soros flag was fully planted in Biden's White House before Daddy George passed the torch to his son, Alex Soros. Alex Soros was exerting massive influence before the empire was officially handed off to him in 2023. But the word is he had influence in the White House himself, although obviously he was he was working underneath his father, so to speak. And don't forget, it was Alex Soros that accepted the Medal of Freedom for his father, George Soros, just recently. But listen to this. Alex Soros made 30 visits to the White House during Biden's reign, making visits every single year. The only year that this slowed down was in 2021, where he made a few visits, but they ramped right back up in 2022. And so likely that is the time that he started or took over for his dad. Now, the meetings came under scrutiny from a few political heads out there. I know I tweeted about it, and many others. Obviously, this is Media Research Center, Fox News, New York Post, the usual suspects. But it didn't get much play. It didn't get much play. Now, you guys have to understand that Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, is absolutely obsessed with climate change. All right, that's his thing, right? That's how. That's his. That's just his thing. That's his thing. But now let me take you to Kenya and Kenya, or the Kenyan president, and a meeting that occurred in the White House. I'm going to further prove to you the connection between the Biden White House and George Soros. Basically, the Soroses were running the policy agenda for the Biden administration. We were wondering who was doing all this stuff. Who was coming up with all this nonsense and this crazy stuff? Yeah, you had a lot of useful idiots in these departments spreading money here, spreading money there. But somebody was behind this, stirring up a bunch of chaos. And we all know that Biden was a dementia patient. Let me take you to some Kenyan corruption and a meeting with the big guy. And that is the big guy being Joe Biden. Now, Alex Soros weaved his way into serious influence at the center of American politics and Washington. Let me give you some timelines. Alex Soros met with Joe Biden personally on 2 occasions, but I got to give you more even before I get there. But the most notable Alex Soros meetings that were uncovered, the ones with Biden himself, notice the timeline that they occurred. One happened to be around the time that a major foreign policy event or major foreign policy events were unfolding at 10:22 Eastern Standard Time on May 23rd, 2024. Biden gave remarks alongside Kenyan President William Ruto on the South Lawn, where one of the many subjects was the two presidents' mutual fixation on fighting so-called climate change. Now, at the time, Alex Soros' key political obsession, again, climate change, actually, it still is. But just after Biden's remarks with Ruto, the president of Kenya, on May 23rd, the same day, White House visitors logs have Alex Soros visiting Biden at 6:15 p.m. Alex Soros also posted a social media photos documenting his attendance at a state dinner that day at the White House in honor of Rudolph. Alex Soros also once stated that one of his goals was to make climate change radicalism the 21st century's civil rights movement, he said. Also, Soros funded E3G. One of the big highlights of the Biden-Rudolph meeting, that's the Kenyan president again, was praised by the Soros-funded organization E3G. All right, and they had there are two facts that you need to know. Actually, they released two fact sheets. E3G did, with initiatives across a range of topics from democracy to trade, and they included an array of projects under shared climate solutions. And this was for Kenya and America. Now, listen to this. U.S. aid. This is about U.S. aid corruption, USAID. E3G, a Soros-funded entity, noted how Biden was prepared to use the U.S. agency, U.S. aid, to accomplish his climate vision in Kenya. To accomplish it, where did this come from? This president visits Ruto. He visits, and then all of a sudden we've got to fight climate change in Kenya. Where did this come from? Well, I'll tell you. So there's some Kenya projects. The White House also named specific climate projects in Kenya, including investments in hydropower and EV startups, also promoting private and public clean energy adoption, increasing conservation, utilizing USAID, the Development Finance Corporation, and a $60 million grant from the Millennial Challenge Corporation. The Biden administration put real weight behind their partnership with Kenya when it came to fighting climate change. Why? All right, here's what you need to know about the Kenyan president. All right, according to the American Presidency Project, on the same day of Rudolph's state visit, the U.S. Department of Energy and Kenyan Ministry of Energy announced their intent to sign a memorandum of understanding in June in Nairobi, intended to enhance bilateral collaboration and partnership in the development of clean energy, carbon management technologies, and decarbonation strategies. Again, why Kenya? Here's why. George Soros has been heavily invested in Kenyan politics for decades. The Open Society Initiative for Eastern Africa opened its doors in Nairobi in 2005, where its headquarters. USAID was a slush fund even for George Soros. And where Biden's Department of Energy and the Kenyan Ministry of Energy would conveniently also sign their memorandum of understanding. From 2022 to 2024, Open Society Foundations noted that the OSIEA and its affiliate regional organizations merged into the global structure of Open Society Foundation. Now, here's what you need to know about Ruto. He got in a lot of trouble with people in Kenya, especially the youth, because he's corrupt. 50% of their economy is basically debt to China, and now debt to the United States for buying into this nonsense. Alex Soros himself shares a lot of these views, the Marxist views of this Kenyan president, but he's not popular in Kenya anymore. And there's more. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. There's more connections with the Biden administration and the Soros Foundation. Labor Secretary Patrick Gaspard made 10 visits to the White House. You also had a lady by the name of Tara McGowan racked up nearly 20 White House visits. She worked in close contact with the Soros Foundation, and she helps to operate 11 local news outlets that are interested in changing the narrative on Kenya for the Soros Foundation. It's insane. It's insane.